I'm David Learmount, Operations and Safety Editor at Flightglobal. At Flightglobal, we've been looking at how airlines employ their pilots. There are alternatives to having them on the payroll, and for some airlines, that seems to make sense. There's always been a place in the flight crew market for contract pilots. Contracting crew helps airlines that have to deal with highly seasonal schedules to be more flexible. It can also help airlines in fast-growing regions like China, India, and Asia Pacific to recruit and manage expatriate crew, especially if they have the long-term aim of developing a supply of homegrown aircrew. But there are also airlines that approach pilot employment in a completely different way. In Europe, Ryanair and Norwegian Air Shuttle are good examples. The majority of Ryanair's pilot workforce are required to be self-employed, but contracted to work exclusively for Ryanair. They're paid an hourly rate for flying, out of which they pay all their expenses, including accommodation. Much of the human resources management task for these pilots is contracted out by the airline to an agency. The only direct interface the crews have with the airline is via the operations or training department, and most of that is conducted via Ryanair's intranet system called CrewDoc. Norwegian is going down the same route as Ryanair regarding pilot employment, and to the consternation of Norway's political establishment is dallying with the idea of hiring pilots and cabin crew from the world's low-cost economies, just as the marine industry has done for many years. The tax implications are interesting. We investigate in which countries self-employed crew are expected to pay their income tax and social security dues. This gets complicated when, as at Ryanair, self-employed crews are based at airports all over Europe, but are paid by an Irish company. Some pilots are facing demands for taxes both from Ireland and from the country in which they are based. Ryanair Chief Executive Michael O'Leary says this arrangement gives his company flexibility and prevents the pilots from forming an effective negotiating unit like a union. The implications are many. It may be a flexible system that keeps costs down, but it doesn't generate corporate values or loyalty among the pilots and cabin crew. Does this matter? Well, that's up to your airline to decide. EasyJet operates a hybrid system, is horrified if you imply that they use the same employment formula as Ryanair. For new EasyJet pilot recruits, they're employed by an agency for the first 2 years, but at the end of that period, most of them are taken onto the EasyJet payroll. So there are choices out there. Which one will your airline make?